So, what if the truth was never in the words, but in the glance? What if the answers we've been looking for weren't in interviews, tweets, or rumors, but in the body language of two boys who were never allowed to say what they felt? So, welcome to a different kind of Larry Stylinson video, at least on this channel, because everyone's done their version of this. So, it's got a bit of the fan theories, got a bit of psychology, and just sort of an overview of like more than like a decade's worth of nonverbal behavior between Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson, and a lot of footage from the early days of One Direction, the concert footage, and even footage from after the band went on hiatus, where you have like videos side by side of them appearing as a guest on a show, and it's like really wild how they mirror how the other acted when they greeted someone at a dressing room months earlier. So there's videos about that, how they can mirror even when they're not together. It's quite wild. It's the timing of their gestures. So basically, if we kind of just do observations and borrow from explanations on, microexpressions, explanations from neurobiology on how this mirroring phenomenon happens, it sort of explains why not even best friends can do this. So nonetheless, I think that sometimes the evidence is right in front of you, and it's like in plain sight. You just don't see it. So let's start with the basics. What is body language? So body language is our unconscious communication system. It's how we convey truth. Despite what we say out loud with what we verbalize with our voice, body language is things that include posture, facial expressions, eye contact, distance, and touch. Most significantly, body language bypasses the conscious mind. So this means you can fake a smile, you can't fake a dilation of the pupils. Not at least not without the help of chemicals, but in general, you can't fake that one. You can answer a question with words, but your body will flinch if the answer isn't true. So this is why trained professionals such as law enforcement, uh, especially the interrogators, psychologists, studied the body language to uncover truth. And that's what we're doing today with Harry and Louis. And yes, of course, I know that polygraphs are not admissible in court, and there are people who can like trick it, but you know what I mean? Like the average person cannot. So how does this all apply to Larry Stylinson? So if we go back to 2011, they're this new, unfiltered, and rarely media trained group of boys, and we watched the early interviews. So look at the frame. So Harry looks at Louis, or no, Harry stares at Louis when he's not speaking. Louis touches Harry's wrist when he's nervous. They lean toward each other, mirroring posture even when seated apart. So these are not rehearsed behaviors, they're instinctual, and they're rooted in emotional attachment. So in interpersonal psychology, we call this limbic resonance. So it's when two people are emotionally bonded, their bodies sync, literally sync, like breathing, posture, pupil dilation, voice tempo, it all synchronizes. And this syncing is impossible to fake for years. Yet it happens with Harry and Louis again and again. And I've said this a lot of times, is, who else can do this really well are identical twins. So, let's talk about mirroring. So mirroring is one of the clearest signs of emotional closeness. So when someone unconsciously mirrors your body language, it shows a number of things: safety, rapport, and emotional connection. So in countless clips, Harry and Louis mirror each other without even looking, especially a lot of concerts. Like their backs are to each other, yet the tempo of the movements are like, oh, and there's no mirror that's helping them. So that's happened a number of times in more than one performance. So, one will cross their arms, the other follows, one leans left, and then so does the other. In psychology, we call this social attunement. It's strongest in romantic couples or best friends with very, very deep trust. But here's what makes it compelling. They kept doing it even after management allegedly separated them and wouldn't let them sit by each other at the autograph signings, which means it was not PR. It was not trained. It was limbic memory. So let's look at proximity in space. According to proxemics, the psychology of physical space, how close we allow someone to get says everything about intimacy. So in 2011 to 2012, Harry and Louis often share personal space. They sit closer than other band members. Their knees touch. They whisper into each other's ears, even with cameras present. Now, fast forward to the post 2013 era. They avoid being seated next to each other. There's visible tension in the posture, and they often glance but immediately look away. This shift tells us something has happened, not necessarily emotionally, but environmentally. It aligns with the rumored PR suppression or forced separation. But here's the twist: their eyes still searched for each other. Which brings us to the next section: eye contact, the most revealing behavior of all. It's like there's that song, "You're too good to be true, can't take my eyes off of you, you're like heaven to touch, I want to hold you so much," right? The whole notion of the eyes. So psychologically, eye contact activates mirror neurons. It's how we read someone's feelings and how we feel their feelings. And in the Larry timeline, eye contact tells the story. So there's a constant eye contact, there's a soft focus, there's dilated pupils, which is a sign of attraction. Maybe not all the time, but in a number of cases, it is. And then if you look at the later years, the glances become furtive. Furtive. um, there's quick eye contact followed by suppression. Louis looks at Harry. When he laughs, Harry avoids it, then steals a glance when Louis isn't looking. And then there's this, if you look at the footage from, say, 2013, 2014 to 2015, like that 3-year timeline, there's a particular nose crunch that Harry does a lot and Louis does a little bit, but you don't see it after the band goes on hiatus and Harry and Lou are not seen together anymore. But it's a very specific nose crunch that is so cute, and it's something that only happened when Harry and Louis were together. So it's the pattern of people who feel more than they're allowed to show. It's called adaptive suppression, when someone restrains visible emotions due to external pressure. But the truth is still in the glance. So touch behavior, intentional versus instinctual. So one of the most undeniable signs of attachment is casual touch. Shoulder brushes, hands resting briefly, legs overlapping without flinching. When two people are comfortable touching each other casually, it shows safety and trust. You can't fake that over time. You can't force it. So fans often cite the moment when Louis touches Harry's knee while speaking, or when Harry adjusts Louis's mic or brushes lint off his chest. These are not scripted, they're reflective. They're reflexive, sorry. In psychology, touch is also regulatory. We use it to calm the nervous system. So when you see Louis tap Harry's knee during a tense interview, that is not PR, that's co-regulation. All right, so facial microexpressions, emotions that leak out. So microexpressions last less than half a second. They reveal true emotion before the brain masks it. Look at Harry's face when Louis is mentioned in solo interviews. The flash of a smile, a quick jaw tighten, eyes softening. Or Louis when asked about Larry, defensive posture, laugh, followed by lip press. Sudden change in one's tone. These are classic indicators of emotional dissonance, a conflict between what you're told to say and what you feel. And over time, these patterns repeat. Same question, same microexpression. It's not coincidence. That's suppression. So what does all this mean? It doesn't mean we know the story. It doesn't mean we should assign labels or demand disclosure. But it means the body keeps a score, like that famous book by Gabor Mate. Oh no, anyway, it's the book, The Body Keeps Score. And in the case of Harry and Louis, the body told consistent story long after the words stopped. Because when someone mirrors your movements, finds your eyes in a crowd, regulates your nervous system with a single touch, or leans closer even when the world is watching, that is not PR. That's not fan fiction. That's emotional truth leaking out through posture, breath, and gaze. So maybe Larry Stylinson was never just a ship. Maybe it was always a story written in the body, and the body doesn't lie. So, what do you all think? Comment below.